Greetings, BookTube. Today I'd like to talk to you about Albert Camus' last long work, which was called The Fall in English. And this is a sharing of one of my older reflections that I've selected a bit for you here. And it begins with a citation from a story called The Guest. You turned over our brother, you will pay for this. This could practically be the log line actually for this story, in which the narrator teacher in, I believe it's Algeria, anyway, North Africa, a white teacher is asked to accompany a surrendered prisoner to the to the nearest authorities. From this village to the bigger city where maybe there's a jail or a judge, as just sort of a white man traveling to there. The prisoner is Berber, I want to say, probably, as the memory serves. And obviously the teacher has complex feelings about this, being thrust into this role of whiteness. It says, Daru looked at the sky, the plateau, and beyond, the invisible land stretching all the way to the sea. In this vast landscape he had loved so much, he was alone. Whites who returned to France from Algeria are called pieds noirs, or black feet. In the Maghreb, which is North Africa, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, they remain forever red ears, even those born and buried there. Albert is not African nor European. He is a stranger in a strange land wherever he goes. His existentialism is no mere philosophical bracketing. I like to occasionally insist upon Albert Camus as one of the African winners of a Nobel Prize, because I think that the influence of his time in North Africa is often overlooked. And as we can see here, the desert environment, the Sahara, certainly could have played a role in his certain feelings of aloneness or alienation. And also being a white in minority could add to alienation as well. So here I get into my discussion of The Fall. This is mainly, I'm going to talk to you about the style part where I'm talking about his Camus' aphoristic style. And then we'd end with a little bracket from the story The Guest again. By the way, that story, The Guest, is strange that it's called The Guest because in English the French title is The Host. So don't know why they changed that. And certainly hospitality is a huge value of the Saharan people, like the Tuareg, the Tamashet, etc., in my experience. Okay, here we go. In the fall, you are in the Dantean concentric. Oh, in the fall, it starts in Europe, and then the main character, ends up in North Africa. He's going to go through North Africa to move, and just sort of stayed in North Africa. So in the fall, and I'm going to try to indicate where I'm quoting, and mostly I'm more paraphrasing these aphorisms, but it's a little bit hard, in the oral. One of the reasons I struggle with sharing these older reflections that are in a written form is that you can clearly see in the written form, where the quotation marks are. But I'll do my best. Here we go. In the fall, you're in the Dantean concentric circles of Amsterdam. There's a void in the bar. He hangs out in this bar called the Mexico City. Above the babble, a judge penitent's confession dresses the corpse, then turns accuser. We are as ready to judge as we are to fornicate, so you are Sadducee. Well, when one has no character, one has to apply a method. Here Camus registers a complaint with the clerk at Buchenwald. A splash and a gurgle suffice to condemn a man. The story flows back across desperate European waterways, past death in the Sahara, from the narrator's humble birth, past certain mornings when he feels like a burning bush, to his proclamation as Pope of the prison camp, finding forgiveness. His calling card reads, "Don't rely on it. We only imagine we're gangsters." Style, like sheer silk, too often hides eczema. Imperceptibly, the narration passes from first person singular to first person plural. The fall exists in subjunctive mode, not taking the undesired. Future historians will say we fornicated and read the papers. Camus is a genius for aphorisms. These are bulleted. Every man needs slaves as he needs fresh air. No man is a hypocrite in his pleasures. That could almost be an Oscar Wilde one. The essential is being able to permit oneself everything. What we call basic truths are simply the ones we discover after all the others. Finally, so long as you are alive, your case is doubtful. Camus' greatest genius is for asking questions of ultimate concern. I believe that's a term from Paul Tillich, his sort of definition of theology. Why not kill? One can kill by nibbles in the family bosom. Those who murder the language are not pure either. It's a fight, end quote. To be famous, it suffices to kill the concierge. His widow quickly replaces him, despite her crucifix. Imagining a happy Sisyphus, Camus famously asked, "Why not commit suicide?" There are plural reasons for suicide. Who, cher monsieur, will sleep on the floor for us? Or more banally, would you rather converse with Einstein or cavort with a chorus girl? It's amazing how quickly we go from the ultimate concern to the absurd in existentialism. It's one of the things I love about it. For Camus' character, the only reasonable divinity is chance. But his existentialism's greatest contribution to religion is not ontological, but ethical. Allowing for no good faith determinisms, you find yourself radically responsible. This is a big part of what I think people miss about existentialism. But it so happens there is no more father, no more rule. Camus breaks the wax figure of literary character. Here he builds a case against himself by proxy, slapping infants in the subway. He spits with Christ in the face of the blind. He defends the thief by exposing the crimes of the honest man. Christ is guilty of the slaughter of the innocents. Each of us insists on being innocent at all costs, even if he has to accuse the whole human race and heaven itself. Camus rejects this easy grace, yet still speaks of salvation, the right to disappear definitively. He mocks cafe atheists writhing like the devil in holy water at the mere mention of God, and religion's fulminating commandments. Camus knows an atheist writer who prays every night. Freedom is not a reward, it's a chore. The Fall is a medieval cell called a little ease, a spitting cell, in which those of Christ and of the Antichrist, who are the same anyway, are reconciled. It will always be too late, fortunately. And then I end with another quote from the guest. No one in this desert, neither he nor his guest, mattered. And yet outside this desert, neither of them, Daru know, could have really lived. Men who share the same rooms, soldiers or prisoners, develop a strange alliance, as if, having cast off their armor with their clothing, they fraternized every evening over and above their differences in the ancient community of dream and fatigue. So what is the judge seeking in the Mexico City bar in Amsterdam, if not some sort of absolution from the bar? In this case, not the legal bar, but the people at the drinking bar. And haven't we all been there? And yet, this is a bad faith effort, and they cannot exonerate us. And this is also what's explored in the short story in the host, L'autre, instead of the guest, because this teacher cannot stand neutral anymore to what's going on between the whites and the Native Africans. He's asked to transport a criminal to his condemnation. So that's why I see these two works as very interlaced. And after all, whereas we have the abyss in existentialism, certainly, and each existentialism is a bit different. Beauvoir's and Sartre's and Camus are not the same, and never mind if we bring in Dostoevsky and, Schopenhauer and whoever. So we should better speak of existentialisms with an S. And yes, there's the abyss, and there is also the absurd. And it can be lonely, of course, in the desert. And, of course, rolling a stone up a hill forever, one wants to cry. Especially, when it's not a stone. In some ways, I think it's worth what we really do, which is not roll the same stone up and over. Well, depending on your job, if you work at McDonald's, it might feel like the same stone. But we roll stones uphill over and over. They might be different stones, I've changed jobs, my goodness, in this life, I don't know how many times. But sometimes I'm still just rolling stones up hills. And it can be, you could want to cry, but you can also have this option to laugh at the absurd. So I'll end with that. Camus mentions in The Fall, this character likes to help blind people, cross the street and things like that. But he always doffs his hat to the blind person. And that's what we do in life, isn't it? We doff our hat to the blind, and you gotta laugh at that.